Hello, children. Today I am doing two programs with you which will help you understand the concept of list with the loops. Okay, so here I have kept the things ready so that it's a little faster for us. Okay, so let us start that. I assume that you understand what a list is. Now, here when I say that list is nothing but a collection of variety of data elements together. Okay, so considering that particular thing, now my first question which I try to do is that I want to create a list of n numbers depending upon what user gives me and then calculate the sum of all those numbers. That's my first question. Okay. Now in order to understand that, we are going to first step by step do the working of accepting the elements and storing them in a list. I'm not creating a static list and then using that list. I'm going to uh, make a list myself after accepting the elements and then store the data. Okay. So for that, the first step is that I create a blank list. Of course, when you want to store something into a variable or by say a container, I need to create that container first. Okay. And in this case, my container is num and it is going to contain a list type of data, hence square brackets, blank square brackets. Okay. So if this is my dry run specification kept here, which we call as dry run table, I make my elements of the memory. So here first element of my memory is this num, which is actually a list. So I just keep this ready here. Okay. Now obviously when they say n numbers, accept a list of n numbers. So the first thing I need from the user is how many numbers are you talking about, right? So this is the value for n which I accept from the user. So obviously that is again stored in the memory. So another variable here. Next is I ask him, okay, now start entering the elements. So I just print a message, enter the elements of the list, wherein this comes as a uh, print statement. I mean, just as a heading for me. Okay. Now, when I want to repeatedly keep on accepting elements and add it to my list, accept, add, right? So I need a loop because there are repetitions to be done in this case. And obviously, then I need a loop. Now, in this case, the loop has to be told that how many times do you want to accept and create the list basically one by one. So that is why my basic loop comes out to be for I in the range of n. N is number of elements the user has asked for, and hence this range n will work as 0 to n minus 1. Right? So if I say 5, the values picked up by I will be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. And these 5 times the loop will actually execute one by one by one. Okay, I hope it's clear. In the previous video, I had told you that how exactly a for loop works with the range function, right? So now, taking this value of I as my next variable of memory, I put it here. And then I say, okay, the other two variables which I need is actually item sum, because ultimately I'm going to calculate the sum. So let me just keep these things handy. So item is one thing whose values will change in the memory. Sum is one thing whose values will change in the memory. Okay, so let us start now. So I have first, I'm going to assume my n to be 5 as given to me by the user. It's an assumption. For dry run, we always have to assume a particular input, rather all the inputs, and then do the execution, right? So n is 5, I'm assuming here. Then my loop starts here after displaying this list of element thing, enter the elements of the list. Now the first value as 0 and not 1, okay? So I gets the first value as 0. So 0th iteration is running technically. Okay. So here he asks for the first value from me. And that goes and gets stored in item. So let the first value be supposingly 7. Or let it be in 2 digits so that you don't confuse that with I or N. Okay, so I gave the first element of my list as 10. Now this item has to go and gets itself stored in the list, which is my num. Okay. In order to do that, this is the main statement for it. Current status of num, which is blank as of now, plus this item, please send them in the list form, otherwise it gives you an error. Basic integers cannot be added or joined. Here plus is working like a join, concat. It not accepts a integer variable. It has to be in the list form, part of a list kind of a thing. And that you please assign to the existing num. So current num plus new item, then putting it into the existing num. So the num value gets updated. So hence here I have a list which is a blank list as of now. Okay, or I'm assuming here to be it's the blank list. After I accept 10, I store this value 10 here. So because of this statement, the data goes and gets stored in my list, the first element. Okay. Now this s equal to 0 is out of the indent for, so it is not part of the loop. Okay. So I go up. Up means range function step value, which is not given. So assumed as 1. Hence, I is incremented by 1. That is, I becomes 1. So basically, this value is cut in the memory, replaced in the memory, and then it becomes 1. When I is 1, again, I check is it less than n? It's less than 5. Yes. So I come and accept the next value, which is whatever. Supposedly, I'm saying 20. That is the next item value user has given. Now, same statement, current num. Current num is 10. Right? Please join my new item in the form of a list item, basically. The new item value is 20. So this will go and get stored in this list now. So I just take a second reference of it. And here is the thing getting updated like this. So this gets cut. And now this is the new status of my num. Okay. Then comes end of loop again. I mean, the loop body is over here. So he goes up to check, is the condition true? If the condition is true, he'll continue. So for that, he takes the next value of I automatically because of the range function. That's the beauty of the range function. You don't have to do anything. He does himself only. Check whether the value is less than my n or not. Yes, it is less than my n. That also range is doing himself when I'm executing range in the loop. And now I accept the third element. So I come inside and accept the third element. Again, the element goes and gets stored. So my list now is going to look like after this element being joined is this. Again, I becomes next 3. I accept the next element, suppose 40. Then I go and add it to my existing list, which is this. Okay, so this is how one by one by one I'm adding my elements. Now again my I becomes 4. Again I check the condition. Is it less than n? Yes, it is less than n. So I again continue. I take the next value, 50, add it to my existing list. Okay. So my new list becomes this. It again goes up, makes the value of I as 5, checks the condition. Is I less than n? No, it's not less than n anymore. It is equal to n. So now the condition is false and he is out of the loop. Okay. So this is the place where he has reached now once that entire thing is done. Sorry. So my list is created. So if at this point I say print the value of num, complete num, and I kind of make this a comment, the rest of the portion, which I'll do later with you, and I try to execute the program once. So I save and I run it. So he says enters how many. Let me do it just the way I've done it here so that I can show you that my ultimate answer is, the list is basically this as of now. So I said 5 elements. Then he says enter the elements of the list, enter a value, first value, second value, third value, fourth value, fifth value. If your loop continues more, that means your logic is wrong. 5 elements, he should accept 5 elements only because you said 5. Enter how many? You said 5. So finally, I got my list ready. Okay. This makes the program dynamic because he asks the value from you and then creates the list for you and then proceeds further with whatever you want to do. Okay. So up till this part, I hope it's clear to everybody. Now, next part I start again. Now I have to accept my, sorry, not accept. I have to read my data one by one from the list and perform some operation. Now, children, this process of accessing the elements, okay, this process of accessing the elements which we are going to see now is same. Whatever you want to do with these elements which are there in any list, I want to check whether they're even or odd. I want to add them. I want to find a particular number, find its occurrence. I want to maybe pick some data from here, create another list. Whatever you have to do. Okay. That all will depend on one plain simple basic logic, that is, how do I access the elements? If I know the process of accessing, then I assume that the rest of the things I can also do. Okay. So first let's concentrate on accessing the data elements, right? So again, the process of access is a repeat process. First element, then second, then third, then fourth, then fifth. So it's a repeat process. Okay. Now here, how many times am I repeating the access process? 5 times only. There are 5 elements, so I should run it 5 times only, obvious. Okay. So again, my loop starts with the same story, the way I accepted for I in range n. And let me write it the way we are going to interpret it: 0 comma n comma 1. So this interpretation is this thing only, because you know, and I expect you know, that stop value is the upper limit and it goes 1 less than the stop value. Hence it is working till 4. The moment it becomes 5, it's out. When it's 5, it is not going to enter the loop. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. 5 times, but the values are varying from 0 to 4 when the loop is executing actually. When it's 5, it's out. It didn't enter at that time. Okay. Step value plus 1, you can see here 0 plus 1, 1, 1 plus 1, 2, 2 plus 1, 3. So same process absolutely. Whether you write like this or you write like this, they mean the same. Okay. So if I am accessing the element one by one, then I'm able to do whatever I want to do with those elements as per my question. Okay. Now, in order to access elements of the list, the basic, you can say, syntax or format is name of the list along with the index of the elements in the of an individual element in the square bracket. So let me just take you back to your shell. And here my list is ready. So the name it has picked up is actually num. So if I kind of pick out num and I say, okay, this is my list. Now I want to access the elements of the list. Okay. The list elements are stored and identified by their index values. What are these index values? The first element has an index value 0, the second element has it 1, the third element has it 2, and henceforth. Okay, it's predefined by the compiler, so it's there. I really don't have to define that. Okay, now how do I access it? I access it by specifying the name of the list and in square bracket the index value. What index value data do you want to access? I want to access the third index value data. Okay, so 0, 1, 2, 3. This data will be accessed. Right? That means num0 will access this, num1 will access this, num2 will access this, num3 will access this, and num4 will access this. So what is static in this? Num and these square brackets. What is changing in this? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? So this is what we try to capture here, that every time for I in range 0 to n, please pick up num of I. And I will vary step by step from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So automatically one by one I'm able to access my elements. Okay. So this is the basic for I in range 0 and 1 or n, num I. Print num I, or if num I mod 2 is equal to 0. So num I is common because num I is basically helping you access every element individually using the loop. Then whatever you want to do with that num I is your wish. Like here in this question, I have to sum those values. right? So I have taken another variable sum and I have kind of added every time the previous sum with the current num I value and stored it back into sum. That's how I get the sum of elements. So let's do the dry run for this too. Now at this point, I make my S as 0. So here I make my S as 0. This is important because first time when he's going to work on this expression, he is going to work with this 0. So it's 0 plus this. If you don't define this 0, then at this point he will say, what is S? I don't know this S. I don't have any value for this S. That is why right hand side, if you're putting something as a part of an expression, that should have some value. Then only he can use it. Next time onwards, he'll have because you assigned it back into it. First time he needs something. Okay. So here I have S as 0. Now again, my loop starts. So I'm back to this table itself. I is now again 0. Okay. You can take another variable also, but there's no point because this I has no reference as such now for the previous code. So now he starts afresh with the fresh values. Okay. So Si is 0. Fine. Now I come to, is it less than n? Yes, it is less than n. I come inside. Inside what I find? 0 plus num of 0. What is num of 0? Num of 0 is 10. This is the 0th element of the list. So num of 0. I say off when I'm talking about those square brackets. So num of 0 is 10. So 0 plus 10, the current value of S becomes 10. Again, indent changes. That means this line is not part of the loop. So I go up. Step value, I becomes plus 1. So I becomes 0 plus 1, 1. Is it less than 5? You have to always check with the stop condition, right? So is it less than 5? Yes, it is less than 5. So I continue. Now here I come into what? Num of 1. What is the num of 1? Num of 1 is 20. Right? Num, square brackets 1 means first element of num. Now here the concept wise, first element is basically for a naive user is a second element. Okay. So num of 1 will pick up 20. Previous sum is 10. So 10 plus 20 is 30 and stored back into sum 30. Similarly, the process continues. I take the next value. I is 2. Num of, again, it's less than n, I know. So num of I, num of 2, 0, 1, 2. That is 30. So num of I will give me 30. Current sum is 30. 30 plus 30, 60 is the new value of sum. So step by step, I'm picking out every element, extracting every element from the list, and adding it to my sum. Okay. Now next element, I becomes 3. Yes, it's less than 5. True. And num of 3 is 40. So current value of S plus 40 is going to be 100. That becomes the new value of S. Next value quickly, 4, 50. Num of I, num of 4 is 50. So 100 plus 50 is 150, the new value of S. New value, I'm again saying because these previous values are cut, replaced. No? You're just overwriting the value basically, whatever is there. Now I becomes 5, condition becomes false. Why? It is not anymore less than n. It is the same value. So condition becomes false. Hence it is out of the loop. Means it is now going to execute this line. Okay. So this line is going to be sum of all elements of the list is the final value of S is concatenated with it and you get the answer. So let's quickly run. How many? Let's do with the same input, 5. So I said 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. This display is because of this part of the line. Okay. And then the last part is after this entire execution, I get my final value of S as 150. Okay. I hope this is clear. Now I just add one more line to this code to calculate the average. For the average question, because I have the sum ready, so it's very easy to calculate the average. How do we get the average? I hope you all know the formula. The average, suppose I'm taking it in AV, the variable, it will be the summation of the numbers, sum divided by the number of elements. That's the basic formula of average everywhere. So I calculated that because both my elements are ready. S is also ready, N is also ready. Okay. So here I add the code by saying the average value is, so whatever, comma, AV. AV is just a variable. You can take anything. Don't take AVG because I think it's a keyword, so it will not work. Okay. So that's how it is. And I save and I quickly run it again to show you the thing. With the same set of inputs again. 5. So it's 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. 150 divided by 5 is 30. 30.0, because moment you do division, use of this operator will always give you data with decimal point. Here there's nothing in the decimal, so he says 0.0. Okay, so I hope this particular question and the basic three things. How do I create the list, which is going to be common for all sorts of list questions, where you have to create the list first and then start working. And then how to use the list elements. Here I'm using it for sum. I can use it for any other thing also, to check whether the data is equal to some number or not. Okay, so that one or two more variations I'll do in the next video, so that it's just not too much for you in one go. Okay, try to go through this. If you have any doubts, you can message me. Fine, see you then.